What's up, everybody? Matt Gajewski here, back again with the Awesemo Fantasy Football channel, and we are continuing our 2022 NFL Draft Prospect Analysis series, focusing on skill position players, giving you everything you need to know ahead of the NFL Draft, your best ball drafts, dynasty drafts, redraft, everything in between. Before we get started, make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you know when this and all other content goes live. And we are also brought to you today by Underdog Fantasy. Underdog is known for their best ball drafts, but it doesn't stop there. They have plenty of other contests for you to compete in, including live drafts, pick'em contests, where you can make up to 20x your entry fee. Use the promo code Awesemo to get a match deposit bonus up to $100 and get started with Underdog Fantasy today. Continuing our receiver prospects, we are sticking with the top five. So far, we've completed Chris Olave, Garrett Wilson, Treylon Burks, and Drake London. So that means we got to round this out with Alabama's Jamison Williams, a really interesting prospect. We're going to start with size here for Jamison Williams. He's a unique player. He stands 6'2", 179 pounds, so very slight in frame. He's actually just 6'1.5", so you're going to see a lot of places round up, but even 6'1.5" gives him some better comparables we'll talk about later. But we don't have the testing numbers for Jamison Williams. This is a guy that tore his ACL in the college football playoff, unfortunately, so we will not get to see the actual numbers, but we know he is one of the most explosive athletes in this class. We were expecting a blazing 40 time and a solid vertical. And making this even better for Jamison Williams, he's just 21 years old this month. So very young prospect heading into the league. Looking at some of his statistics, he's a 4-star recruit, the number 13 wide receiver in his class, which was 2019, coming out of St. Louis, Missouri. He goes to Ohio State, and he only records 15 receptions in his first 2 years with the Buckeyes. And you're going to hear a lot of people talk about this. Is Jamison Williams just not capable of getting on the Ohio State field? Or, in what I personally think, is it just that Garrett Wilson, Chris Olave, and Jackson Smith and Jigba are that good? Was he just behind 3 fellow first-round picks? And I find that to be the case because he transfers to Alabama, and what he does there is eye-opening. He goes to one of the best offenses in the country, immediately puts up 79 receptions, over 1,500 yards, and 15 scores on just 22% of the targets. Jamison Williams had an absolutely monstrous season, in line for the Biletnikoff. He ends up not getting it, but still, just polar different player from when we saw the 15 catches at Ohio State to the eruption in 2021. So fantastic player there. Got to play under Nick Saban, offensive coordinator Bill O'Brien, in a very pass-heavy scheme with Bryce Young. Fantastic overall. As far as what he did on the field within these numbers, he was in the slot about 28% of the time. Bill O'Brien's a great schemer, so is Nick Saban. They're trying to find their players advantages over opposing defenses, and that's something we're going to talk a lot about in the game logs. Jamison Williams was lining up all over the formation, and they were really trying to get him in the best matchups possible. So this is a common theme. We're going to see a lot of good production against linebackers, but diving into some of the game logs, immediately over 100 yards against Miami Hurricanes. He did struggle a little bit against Florida, just 4 catches, 61 yards there. And he did have some problems against Kyer Elam, a bigger corner who was able to take advantage of him on the line of scrimmage in some press coverage. Kyer Elam ends up getting hurt in the game, so Williams finishes with 61 yards and a solid performance. That is a concern at the next level, is just the size with Williams. Can he handle press man coverage at just 180 pounds? We'll talk about that a little later, but there's at least some concern there. Later on, over 100 yards against Texas A&M, over 100 yards against Tennessee, against LSU, New Mexico State, and Arkansas in 4 straight games. Then he goes up against Auburn and he plays against Roger McCreary, caught 6 of 13 targets for 84 yards. This was a battle back and forth between these two. He finishes with the 84 yards, but McCreary ends up with 3 pass breakups and an interception. So that was just not Jamison Williams dominating either. Against Georgia in the first matchup, man, did Bill O'Brien and Nick Saban find him some advantageous matchups. Goes 7 for 184 and 2 scores. Absolutely dominated Lewis Cine, who's also in this class. 2 catches for 79 yards and a touchdown. And even in the playoff championship, he finishes with 465 against Georgia, but 2 of those catches for 51 yards also went against Lewis Cine. So again, notching some of that up to play calling. the Alabama signal callers, the play callers were able to get him in great matchups. Against Cincinnati, he did face Sauce Gardner, went 1 of 2 for -1 yards. But again, Alabama's best matchup came on the ground. They decided to just ride Brian Robinson rather than test the Cincinnati defensive back. So largely uninvolved, but not by any fault of his own. Digging into the rest of the profile, this is a guy that does have special teams versatility. As soon as he came over to Alabama, he was returning kickoffs. He had 10 kickoff returns for 352 yards and 2 scores. He was also notoriously used as a punt gunner for this Alabama team. So this guy does have versatility, and a lot of that comes down to his speed. Hyper efficient as a player, too. 3.12 yards per route run, was 9th in this class. The only receivers more efficient than Jamison Williams on a per route basis were Treylon Burks, Wan'Dale Robinson, Drake London, Javian Hiley, Sky Moore, George Pickens, Devin Tompkins, and Jalen Tolbert. Absolutely an elite class of his own. Now, looking forward, we know why Jamison Williams is going to be drafted. It's the elite speed. We don't have the numbers, but we know that this is going to be a game breaker, and it's something the NFL has been prioritizing in recent years, even going back to Henry Ruggs, who actually had a similar frame, very slight, but very fast. Because he's so slight, he doesn't have a lot of productive NFL comps. The actual player he compares closest to is Tyquan Thornton, who's in this draft as well. But other players to mention are Robbie Anderson, Paul Richardson. But I think even Devontae Smith as a case study, who is a little bit smaller than Jamison Williams, even though Devontae Smith was slight, he was still able to be productive as a rookie. Not a huge sample on him, but I think that will give teams confidence drafting Jamison Williams in this draft. And again, he's expected to go very high. A couple of receiver-needy teams at the top that could use some speed. The Jets have 2 picks inside the top 10. Even a team looking towards the mid to back half of the draft, the Chargers could use a lot of speed. They have a slot guy in Keenan Allen and a big X receiver in Mike Williams. They are looking for the lid lifter. That could be a luxury pick for the Chargers. I think later in the draft, the Packers are a team looking to replace MVS. They pick at 22 and 28. That could be another fit. The Patriots pick at 21. They're stuck with bigger body receivers. They have Jacoby Myers in the slot, another team that could desperately use some speed. Ultimately, I do not see Jamison Williams falling any further than the Packers here. And again, Chargers, Patriots, also good fits, if not the Saints, Eagles, or Jets a little bit higher. Let me know in the comment section what you guys think about Jamison Williams, where he might get drafted and where he could be a good fit. My name is Matt Gajewski on Twitter at Matt_Gajewski. Thank you for watching, and we will see you again next time.